Hey guys, Kyle Casey here for my Cultural Family Assessment Model presentation. So we'll go ahead and jump in here. The family members that I did for this project were PF and EF. PF is from Peru and EF is from Puerto Rico. They have both migrated here. PF is a physician and EF is a nurse. And I did have a little bit of a preconceived notion about the both of them because they both hail from poor countries. So I assumed that they must have started out poor. And so we'll see what that assumption will be like in the end. PF and EF are married and they currently live in East Brainerd. They've both been here for a couple decades and their families still live in their respective countries. PF is not close with his family, so he's not quite sure where they reside, but he's pretty sure they're still there. They both came here for their careers, and as stated before, those are their roles. They primarily speak Spanish, and they have thick accents, but their English is still very good, and so is their sense of humor, which I definitely appreciated. Something that they find difficult in the American culture is tone of voice. In their culture, they're very boisterous and loud, but they don't really yell at each other. And they found that here in Tennessee, actually, that there's in their version of it that they yell a lot. So it's an interesting note from their perspective. Because I'm doing this project by myself, some of the things are altered here. So just captured 6 of the assessment models areas. So we'll start here with nutrition and death rituals. And we'll not really start, but we'll continue here with nutrition and death rituals. They both state that they're satisfied with where their weight's at. They maintain a vegetarian diet, and they do admit to overeating of carbohydrates, most specifically desserts. That is something that they like to indulge in. So they they would like to make that better about their life. They mostly stick to a plant-based diet, and their Latino heritage has a lot of fatty and fried foods in it that they do admit to still having in their diet. And in respect to death rituals, they're very similar to America, but the biggest difference in their culture is that they actually have like a 2 or 3 day viewing / wake of the body, and it ends in the funeral. When it comes to spirituality and healthcare practices, they're both Seventh-day Adventists, so their worldview is based in that. They consider themselves deeply religious. They volunteer in their church, and everything that they were doing was they were relating back to Christ, which was really, really encouraging. And they try and walk daily, although they're on different schedules, so it's a little hard for them right now. But they do, like we said before, maintain a plant-based diet and have a robust, healthy spiritual life. And where they came from is mostly Western medicine, actually, and I was a little bit surprised to hear that. But knowing that they're a physician and nurse, I probably shouldn't be that surprised. But they adhere to the beliefs of Western medicine, and they're in a unique position that they've seen how South America operates with their medicine, and they've been able to compare it to our medicine here in America, and I think that gives them a really unique and cool perspective on our society. The 2 ICD-10 codes that I chose to utilize for this assessment was Z60.3, which is acculturation difficulty. And because of their voiced difficulty in understanding tone of voice and what people mean by that, whether they're actually yelling at them or if they're just raising their voice, we chose that ICD-10 code to kind of put into a category their acculturation difficulty. The other one is Z72.9, which is problems related to lifestyle unspecified, and that's mostly due to their overindulgence of desserts. So it's something they wanted to improve in their life, and if I were to see them in the practice, I could hopefully help them with that specifically. And part of this assessment called for how we would treat this family if they were to come in with a terminal illness. And this family, they're big believers in Western medicine, something that they fully support. But something that may be a little bit different than a lot of times in how we operate here in America is that they have faith as a big part of their life. And so laying of hands in prayer and anointing in oils, and similar things as that would be part of their care. And I would totally be open to treating them with that. And actually makes my heart happy to treat them with that. So that's how I would treat them if they came into my office with a terminal illness. So here we've come to the conclusion and the application to practice. Circling back to my preconceived notion of them, because their countries in my mind were relatively poor, I just assumed that they were poor where they came from. But in actuality, they came from a pretty wealthy area in their countries, and they have high rises and Western medicine, and I think that this really set them apart in giving them a leg up in being able to be successful in the United States. And they've definitely done that. And that makes my preconceived notions unjustified. So I was glad to have a realigning of my view there. In regards to clinical practice, Chattanooga has a really large Latino and Spanish-speaking populations. So being able to treat this population with respect and dignity for their culture, I think this assessment was really beneficial for me to just realign my thoughts on that, and to not make assumptions about countries' living situations and their culture, and just kind of hear them out and listen to them, because every person has their own story, and it can be surprising at the information they can find out just by asking and listening and caring to them. So it's overall just a great opportunity to interview this family, and I really enjoyed it. Thanks for listening to my presentation.